بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. The purpose and effect of a contract. So this is a continuous chapter, comes under theory of contract. So before this we finished the three pillars of contract. So we still continue to the contract. So we are going to the next section, which is the purpose and effect of a contract. I think this is one of my favorite section. There are um, many interesting points that we can actually discuss. It's quite important as well, because every single uh, time that we do transaction, it is something that we have to look into the purpose and effect. So basically, purpose and effect is in everything. If you want to look into um, any aqad that you are making, there is a purpose why you are actually making. And then once you do that action, there is always a reaction. So there is an effect. There is an effect. So in contract, usually there are many types of contract. I think you know. So one of them is sale. Let's say if I'm selling to you something, then the purpose of this contract is actually exchanging the core values, because we actually doing the exchange, right? So you have money, I have the product. So now the purpose is actually exchanging the core values, because you have something which I think is value to me, and I have something which you think is there is a value to you. So that's the reason why you are bringing the money to any supermarket and you just want to buy a soap or paste or whatsoever, because you just want to exchange the core values. So that is actually the purpose of a sale. Then what happened when you do that, when you have done it, when you do such exchange, what happened after that? It's, we call it effect. Yeah, for example, when you buy from me the product, so you become what? You become the owner of that product. Because before that minute, the one you started negotiating, you started selling and buying, before that I was the owner of the product. So the moment changed, you gave me something that I am looking for. So we both exchanged the core values. Then what happened? You become the owner. So that is what we call effect. So the Islamic law of transaction, each contract has certain purpose and effect, each and every contract. Why we are discussing, I will tell you later. There is a reason why we are actually discussing this. There is also fiqhi perspective. There is also business perspective. Um, uh, and then when there is one of the, whether it is purpose or effect, whether one is missing in any contract, in any dealings that we are doing so far, what happened that it changed to something. That's what we call it a fictitious contract. The contract that can be invalid because of those reasons. Right. So now that is what I mean by purpose and effect. But in order to understand more, you have to think like, um, you have to think like, okay, you had the intention to buy something. Yeah, you had the intention to buy something, but you didn't you expressed that intention of buying something, right? The person who believe who were in the person in front of you also saw that intentions and he sold to you, right? So that the whatever that you expressed, it's a kind of whatever that you shown as as an expression, the person in front of you has to believe in it, right? So that is what we call it intention, that is actually dhahiriya, which is actually you can expose that intention. Let's say you are going and you are buying a knife, so you are showing your intention that you want to use that knife for kitchen. So you want to cut vegetables. So that's the reason why you are looking for. That's how everybody will think, of course, because that is your expression, which is actually a dhahiri, right? But there is also hidden intention. That is, we call it batini. All right. So we will come into that. So this is all related into this purpose and effect. Yeah. So this is all related. Whether do you have to have a proper intention to buy? What your intention is being misunderstood? What if your seller, the one who is selling to you, is thinking that you are having this intention, but you are having different kind of intention. So should I show my real intention to in order to buy something, or I can hide my intention to buy something, right? So this is all related to the hadith that we are talking, innamal a'malu binniyat, every action based on intention. So I think this one also will be interested to understand any advertisement today. People are advertising, and it's a huge market today. Advertisement, I think you know better than me. You have seen so many samples, and nowadays even you watch YouTube also, there are so many samples, right? Advertisements are coming. So what is their purpose of showing that kind of advertisement? Yeah. So whatever they are showing, is it going to be exactly the outcome, or is it just for the sake of illustration they are showing? Sometimes we see some picture. For example, they show you the picture of burger. They show you the picture uh, of mozzarella cheese pizza, for example. So you look at the picture of pizza, then you thought, oh, mashallah, this is very nice, looks so good. But when you go and buy, it doesn't look like, it doesn't reflect what have you seen. It's something like, it's not that puffy, it's not look like that fresh, it's not like that crunchy. There, of course there are cheeses, but you can't see the cheese, and then when they show you, it's like they cut it and then you can see the cheese together, melting, but in reality you don't see it. But if you look at the advertisement or the brochure that they are distributing of those pictures of those pizzas, then you will be seeing down there, they will be writing in small letter at the border, at the bottom of the paper. You will see that at the bottom of the image you will be seeing, for illustration purpose only. So they've been showing you everything. They motivate you. Yeah, they motivate you to go to their shop and buy that kind of pizza. But at the end of the day, you will see that it's just for the illustration purpose. But in reality, it's not exactly what you're gonna get. So that kind of, this is all I think related. I think you might be having so many examples now. I think girls will understand the advertisement of cosmetic. I don't have to tell you more. You know very well. It looks like, the thing they are showing. Does it exactly going to become if you apply those cosmetics? Yeah. So there are so many things like that. So I think everything gonna cover in this topic. That's why I feel like this is one of my favorite topic to talk about, is especially today what's going on, especially in the advertisement market, right? So we can look into Fiqh perspective, at the same time economic perspective as well. All right. So with that introduction, let me just go into this slide. Okay. So the purpose and effect of a contract. Yes, in Islamic law of transaction, each contract has a certain purpose and effect. The purpose of a contract refers to main purpose of for which people use that contract. The effect is actually a consequence or the result, of that contract. It becomes effect, whether you get the result or you also get the rights and liabilities. When you get a product, you get the rights on that product. So that's a kind of. So um, for example, the purpose behind a contract of sale is to enable the parties to exchange their counter value. So remember the word exchanging counter values with mutual consent. Remember the counter values, which is actually both side. You must have something that you're holding with value, and I should have something that I'm holding with value, so that we are exchanging the value. Then only the real sale is happening. The reason why we say gambling is haram, because this counter values are not there. Why we say riba is haram? Because there is no exchanging counter value. Because there's only one person will benefit. In riba, in interest contract, there's only one person is going to get that benefit, not both of them. Both of them, they are not going to get the benefit. That's the reason why there is no exchange of counter values and there is no mutual consent. Uh, so the effect is the transfer of ownership. Once you're done with counter values and mutual consent, then whatever you are going to get right now, the product, and together with the product, you are getting the transfer of ownership. So the purpose of a lease contract. So now I told you there are many types of contract, right? So maybe I can give you some of them. Like I told you just now, the sale contract. Then you have the lease contract. Then you have the lending or borrowing contract. Then you have hawala. Then you have kafala. These are the contracts, by the way. So what is the purpose in selling, in sale contract? Is the exchange. Yeah. Okay. What about the lease contract? What is the purpose in a lease contract? Is to allow the tenant. You're allowing the tenant to use your product, your property. That is actually the purpose. The effect in a lease mean ijara. Yeah. The purpose in the effect in ijara contract is what? Transferring the ownership over usufruct. You are actually transferring the usufruct to him, not the entire property. By doing this, let's say I am your tenant, I'm getting your apartment, then what is the effect on me? The effect is the ownership over usufruct. So I am the owner of the benefits, the manfa'a. All right. What about the kafala? The purpose in kafala is actually providing a guarantee. Right, kafala means guarantee. So now you buy a product and they say, or you go and you get a loan from the bank will ask you for the guarantor. So the purpose of guarantor, so the purpose of kafala is actually providing a guarantee. The effect is what? The effect is claiming his or her debt. For example, if the person is not able to pay back the bank, uh, the bank is the bank is absolutely, they can come and ask the person who give the guarantee, who was the guarantor, the person who is the guarantor. He can get it from the guarantor. So that's kind of claiming is actually the effect. You can keep on going. For example, hawala or i'ara. What are the purpose and effect? So you can keep on going in this. There are so many types of contract you can actually put into it. So the parties are at liberty whether or not to enter into certain permissible contract. So before you enter to contract, you have liberty whether you want to go in or not. But once you are inside the contract, any contract that I listed before, once you are inside the contract, then they are automatically entitled to purpose and effect. Meaning to say that you cannot say, okay, we are going to make this contract, but don't worry about the effect. We are going to make this contract, not necessarily there should be purpose. No, cannot. If there is no purpose and effect, that contract is not valid. Cannot be, because no one can do. For example, uh, uh, a miner is actually doing a contract. For him, it's a fun, right? Why we are not allowing you to go and deal with the miner? If there's a guarantor, if there is a guardian, it's okay. But if there's no guardian and you are not supposed to deal with the miner or a lunatic or someone is insane, why you are not supposed to deal with insane? Because the insane he is just doing for fun. He is actually not exactly his intention to sell something to you. So there is no purpose. So for that reason, it is not acceptable, right? Okay. So now let me come into ask. Let me come and ask you a few very important questions of this. Um, you see, this is what we talk about: irada zahiriya and irada batiniya. Expression is irada zahiriya. Hidden intention is irada batiniya. So the big question here is, you have already fulfilled all three pillars, right? We talked about three pillars, yeah? Maybe can I just remind you what are they? Number one is expression, sigha, offer and acceptance. Number two is what? Parties, yeah, you and me, buyer and seller. Number three is what? Subject matter, yeah. So the things that you are going to buy or sell, that stuff, that object and subject matter. So now, if you fulfilled all these three, then you are actually completing a contract. Am I right? Okay. If one of them is missing, then you cannot actually complete a contract. So this is what we learned so far from last few weeks, few classes. Yeah. So now I ask you a question. You went to a shop to buy some grapes, and then you are adult and the one you are asking, the person also adult. So both of you are adults, so there is no problem in pillar number 2. And it is grapes, which actually allowed you, it is not prohibited to buy grapes. Grapes are fruits, yeah. So there is no issue in buying grapes because of fruits. So now all three pillars are there. You went there, you asked for the grapes, you made expression, ijab kabul, there is a person, the parties are okay, and then the grapes are the fruits, it's permitted fruits, so you can buy all those permitted items. But now all the trees are completed, but your intention to buy this is to make wine. Is you didn't buy grapes to make some juices, just grape juices. Or maybe to make some um, rice in or something. It's not that you really buy this, and then your intention, your hidden intention, you didn't deliver, you didn't express your hidden intention to anybody. You are just buying like 10 kilo, 20 kilo, 30 kilo of grapes in order to make wine, right? So now the question is this contract valid or not valid? Right? So this one starts from the question. So you need to understand question carefully. Let's say if I give you example of knife, I can tell you the same thing. Your intention to buy knife from the kitchenware, not to cut vegetables, but to kill somebody. Understand? But you are not, it is your hidden intention, your intention inside. Nobody knows why you are buying the knife. Or maybe someone is buying so many things here and there, and then bringing everything together and then making something can destruct the entire place, something can destroy the thing. Maybe some technology you are buying, for example, your intention to buy the technology is to steal something from somebody. Yeah. So you see, now entirely the three pillars are there. I'm not saying that you are going and buying the haram things, because knife is not haram. Grapes are not haram. Technology things that you are buying, and if you want to use it for the wrong intention, but that is actually not haram. I mean, the intention is haram, I understand, but the buying that stuff is not haram, right? So if someone, I'm buying something which is actually permitted things, but my intention is something. So now the contract that I'm making with somebody, is it halal? I mean, is it accepted? Is it valid or not valid? So that is the big question comes to the ulama, imams, fuqaha, and everybody. So by answering the question, actually you can clearly see, of course, there is ikhtilaf, there will be. So one group of people, in this case, it is Imam Abu Hanifa and also Imam Shafi'i. They are together in this. They say we actually are not allowed, or we cannot see the inner intention, the hidden intention. That is up to Allah, because only Allah knows your intention, nobody else will know. So there is no way that we can actually stop this contract. So the contract is valid according to, and try to understand this, what they're saying. They say the contract has to be valid, but the action is haram. So I know maybe some of you are still confused. Yeah, you see, action means it's from you, because your intention is to kill somebody, your intention is to make some wine. So that intention, that action which is going to become, because it is not happening right now, because when you are buying the grape, it's not going to immediately, it's not going to become instant wine. You have to bring that, go back, put it somewhere, let it dry, or maybe put it somewhere inside, and then do some mechanisms and this and that, some sort of activities needed in order to convert into wine. The same thing comes to knife. The moment you buy the knife, is not actually somebody's get killed, unless you take that properly, you go to some places and then you find a person and then you do some kind of activities, then only that thing is going to happen. So you need to understand this. The contract is valid, but the action is haram. So this is what Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Shafi'i, both they agree with this. The remaining two Imams, Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, they disagree with this, because they say the motive is wrong. When there is a motive is wrong, then the contract must be abolished. this contract cannot happen. But the big question here is, how am I supposed to know the motive? I know it's an unlawful motive, but the big question still remains unanswered. How am I supposed to know? How am I supposed to know that he is here with the right intention or the wrong intention? So this is the fiqhi hukum that you need to learn at this stage. Let me just go through the slides. So here it is. The question here is whether the fulfillment of the competence of the parties and the existence of consent are sufficient ground for the validity of a contract, or we have to look behind the intention. Yeah, is it sufficient for the validity of a contract to fulfill its pillars and conditions, or it should be concluded for a purpose for which it is intended by Sharia? Right? So as I told you, for Shafi'i and Hanafi, motive is something hidden and is left to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because only Allah knows the intention. Yeah, only Allah knows the intention, nobody else knows. So they don't look beyond the agreement at the hidden intention. They say the Sharia requires that the parties enter into a contract by mutual consent and fulfill all the pillars and conditions of a contract. So the same example they can give you by al-aina, because this is a problem also by al-aina. I think you will be learning this in fiqh too. By al-aina is something, for example, I sell you my phone on credit basis, and then I take back that phone and I buy from you for the less price. It's a kind of a trick in order to make interest halal. Let's say I give you 1,000 ringgit and then I ask you back to pay me back 1,100, right? So that extra 100 is haram, right? Because it is interest, riba. In order to make it halal, somebody thinking to use by al-aina, for example, rather than I give you 1,000 ringgit in money, I give you my phone. And then I tell you, okay, you pay me back. After 1 month, you pay me back the money. The price is 1,100, right? And then now immediately in the next minute, I take from him the phone, and then I give him, I say, okay, you have the phone, I want to buy the phone from you. The same person who gave the phone, he wants to buy back the phone for 1,000 ringgit. So now he take back the phone and then he pay the person 1,000 ringgit. So now this deal is over. But the old deal was, what was the old deal? The old deal was, I gave you my phone on credit. You have to pay me 1,100 after 1 month. So now this guy took the phone back, and then that guy already got 1,000 ringgit in his hand. From outside, it looks like they have already made the contract. It looks like there was a selling and buying, right? But after 1 month, that person who took 1,000 from this guy has to pay 1,100 ringgit. So this is what we call by al-aina. I think you have to read. You will be learning this in so many other ways. I think maybe the one I told you a simple version of explanation. I think most of the banks today are based on this kind. Some of the banks, some of the products, not all of them. Some of the banks with some of the products that's based on this, and which ulama is already prohibited these kind of things because it looks like a trick, right? So now Baylaina, the sale of grapes, and then what about the sale of arms, right? The sale of arms, I mean, you are selling the arms, weapons and all, but it's a destructive, it's going to destroy your own people, right? So this kind of thing. And then there is also called a zivaj al-muhallil. For example, if someone divorced his wife 3 times, we need to say after 3 times nobody can marry her. I mean, not nobody, the person who divorced her, he cannot marry her because it's been done 3 times already. uh, in order, if let's say he made a mistake, he thinks that I made a mistake, I divorced her 3 times, I shouldn't be doing, then there is only one way it has to happen, which is actually someone has to marry her, uh, and then that someone has to divorce her, then only this person can go back and marry her. So you see, it's a long process. That's how it's very difficult. If someone marry and then divorce 3 times, it is impossible to get married again. But this is the reality. But if someone making a kind of setting, he say, please you marry her and then you divorce her the next day, so that I can, sometimes, they do the marriage for divorce. So that kind of things is happening. So you see, all these things from outside, it looks like a valid contract, because you cannot actually, because everything is there. There is a husband, there is a wife, there is a khatib, there is a ustaz, and everybody is doing it, but no one is actually allowed to see the inner intention. So it from outside looks like, yeah, because according to hukum, if you ask hukum legal perspective, this is actually legal, but remember the action is wrong. You have to answer to Allah for all these things. That's the reason why they say contractually it is valid, although they are makruh tahrimi to the Hanafis and haram to the Shafi'is, if the parties intend to use them to obtain unlawful purpose. Okay, so according to Maliki and Hanbalis, as I told you, the cause of the motive or the parties are wrong. Thus, the case of the motive is unlawful. The contract is also unlawful, and vice versa. For example, they do not allow the contract of gift when such gifts are given to the people, to authorities. For example, if someone is giving gift to any politicians or authority people in offices in the, especially the government sector, it looks like from outside that for sure they are bribing. It's called bribery. If you pay something to the police, it looks like that um, you want to stop him looking at him, or maybe you want to hide your mistakes. So for that reason, it is called raswa, right? Raswa in Bahasa and rashwa in Arabic. It is a bribery, right? They argue that the permitting such contracts would promote prohibition and sins, because this kind of contract they don't want to permit. They are actually bringing another one, legal maxims. I think we learned this at the beginning of our semester. It calls saddu daraya, blocking the means. So if this mean through these means, if someone is promoting prohibitions and sins, then there is all the right for you to block it. Saddad Daraya. So on that basis, they said this kind of permissions, I mean this kind of contract cannot be allowed. But my question still unanswered: how you are supposed to know the intention, because it is deep inside. But if you are, so my answer would be like this: if someone is coming to your shop or someone is dealing with you, if you have that kind of, sometimes you see the person, and actually it is called what? It is called firasa. Do you know firasa? Firasa means something, you look at the person, and then suddenly you realize something about him or about her, from the face itself. Sometimes you will see if there is a person. Usually, your parents are having firasa until now. If you made a mistake when you were a child, when you were small, when you do mistake, then your parents definitely will find out you did the mistake, because your face will show. uh, there is also a funny song, the kindergarten song. For example, someone will eat donut and then will hide it, and then the parents will come and find it, but the donuts, you still see the cream in your face or something. They will find out. Yeah? So it's a kind of firasa, we call it. You look at the face and then you see. It is not possible for everybody. I'm just saying. It could be my answer to this issue. If you see somebody and you really see the intention of buying this from you, it looks like he or she will misuse it, abuse it. I tell you what, most of the time it happens in the pharmacy, because there are there are some particular pharmacy medicines, because I know about those medicines because my father used to have a pharmacy back in India and I used to work for him. We have seen sometimes people coming and buying some sort of syrup, or maybe like tonics, or some sort of liquids and tablets, and we will see that they become addict. Once they become addicted, they come and buy again and again, because for them it looks like sometimes they get intoxicated because of those medications. So yeah, for that reason, I learned this from my father. I will never ever deal with that kind of people. I will always say, you need medicine, you should have the description from your doctor. So you see, there are so many places like this today. I don't think we are following all this. It's not about only medicine. It's about, you go to supermarket, you go to, if you feel like people are excessively, coming and buying something from you, you don't only look into the profit margin of your business. You also look, ethically speaking, you need to also look into ethical, what they call it, you have to look into the welfare of your customers, because they also should be healthy and happy, right? Not all the time. They, especially, when people are going and buying some games, people become addicted. Sometimes I have seen some places like, PlayStation or places like, people become addicted to buy those kind of things. You have to be careful when you are selling something like that. You should be giving something, control your sale in order to protect people. You shouldn't be the reason someone is becoming addicted, or someone is losing his healthy, or his ethics. So you shouldn't be the reason for that. So there is a way, if you want to watch, but I cannot say 100% you can do that. But this is also ethical aspect of doing business. Yeah, so that's the thing. The next is, okay, this is what a fictitious contract that we are going to discuss about. This is, we call al-aqd as-sawri. Um, yes, it is all related. This happens when apparent intention, irada zahiriya, is present and hidden intention is absent. So all these contracts, we call it fictitious contract. The parties, while making offer and acceptance, do not have intention to make that contract. In this case, the contract is called fictitious or artificial. You can also call artificial contracts, Sauriya. So now, you go to any insane person or drunkard person. That's the reason why last time when we are talking about the obstacles in the parties. So we talked about this, right? If someone is intoxicated, better we don't do a deal with him. If someone is sleepy, shouldn't be doing deal with him. Someone insane or minor or mortal illness, someone is safi, right? Prodigal. So we shouldn't be doing business with him. Why? Because it could be fictitious or artificial, because they don't know the real purpose of business. They just do it for fun. So you are not allowed to do that for fun. As I told you, this is something, mostly Muslims should learn this, should keep this behavior of doing the transactions in any places that we are doing. We need to make sure that, even because every transaction at the end of the day is going to be counted, and we need to answer to Allah, what are the things that we earn in this world, and how did we spend? How did you earn? How did you spend? This is the question that Allah is going to ask when we are when once we die, these are most importantly, these are the few questions that Allah is we have to answer to Allah. So so I think that's very important here to understand that what are the things are fictitious, how it's going to happen. Sometimes mistakes may happen. Let's say there is a contract and you are about to do some mistakes, or maybe um, mistakenly he gave you something to you. That one is okay. Still you have the option, we call it khiyar. Still you have the option to go back and return, or you get the right thing. That one is a mistake. But if someone is actually intentionally wants to cheat you, he is showing you outside, from outside he's showing you it's a great car, it's a brand new car, but you bought it, and then only after some time you come to know it's not the brand new car, it's the old car. You just put the new paint. Yeah, most of the time it happens to the phone nowadays. For example, we think that okay, this iPhone is quite cheap, it's cheaper, it's 500 ringgit cheaper than the original price. But the thing we forgot to see that whether it is the refurbished phone or it is the second-hand phone, it looks like new, for example, because they maybe they are capable of changing outside. So this is all something happening. So it's a kind of cheating nowadays. So many places, so many cheatings are going on. We have to be very careful, of course. At the same time, what happened exactly, ethically speaking, or fiqh perspective, ahkam, the legal perspective, what is going to happen. So inshallah, that is what actually the remaining course will teach us. So I think I will just stop here. I think the remaining courses, the remaining slides will talk to you about the deficiency of consent, deficiencies. For example, this one. There is as I told you earlier, you must have the mutual consent in order to make any contract alive. So now, what if there is a defective in mutual consent? Because, for example, all these examples are that duress, mistake, fraud, deception. Because in duress means someone is asking you to sell something that you have, or someone is asking you, pushing you, or giving you the pressure, or maybe he has a gun and then he's showing the gun to you and asking you, you should buy it, otherwise I will kill you, right? So now there is a deficiency in consent. Yeah, so what are the legal rulings of these kind of things? Inshallah, this is what we are actually going to learn in the next class. Okay, so I will just stop here.